People always ask how I balance my family life with 400 shows a year. I'm just doing what I love with the people I love. It's my magic life.
I like Wes Iseli. I like everything about him.
All right. In today's episode, we have an amazing magician. I've known this guy for years, but only through seeing him on television. You may have seen him as well on ABC, NBC, Fox, WGN, CW, Global News. This guy's headlined Las Vegas at the MGM, the Venetian, Bally's with over 10,000 performances. He starred in 10 national tours of Masters of Illusion. I can go on and on and on, but we got the dude on the air with us. Let's talk to him. Everybody, it's Greg Gleason. What's up, Greg? How are you, sir?
Hey, Wes. Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Dude, I am so excited. So we have a mutual friend, Ray Lum.
Yes.
And Ray was saying how great you were. And then he introduced me to you, and it was one of those bro bondings, man. I was really torn. When I'm at a magic convention, I want to take in every inch of that magic convention.
Yeah.
But I was really torn in that dealer room because I wanted to hang out and talk to you. We really hit it off. I had a blast, man. But there was a lecture starting, and I'm like, oh, we were so good. I can't wait to continue this conversation. So let's get into it. Hey, Greg, we have my wife, Natalie, here as well.
Hey.
And
hey, Natalie.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Sorry I couldn't have met you in Vegas, but somebody had to stay home and take care of the kids.
Yeah, that happens. I understand.
1-year-old twins and a 10-year-old daughter, man.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So what's up? What's going on with you?
Ray Lum was just over here a few hours ago, as a matter of fact.
Oh, was he? I love that dude. He is so cool.
He's a good guy. Yeah, I have a project that he was looking at, maybe taking on for me. So we'll see what happens there.
You guys do a lot of work together, though.
Yeah, his craftsmanship and workmanship, it doesn't get any better. He's a perfectionist.
Well, that's what he says as well. So that's two people. No, he's awesome. He's awesome.
Yeah.
So, Greg, tell me, how did you get started in magic? People don't know you as well as I do. Introduce yourself to the world, man. I got listeners in 45 different countries now. So let's introduce the world to you.
I've been doing it a long time. I've been doing it, close to, I don't know, over 45 years, maybe somewhere in that ballpark. I started in the 70s. I had my first shows I was doing in the 70s. I was actually doing magic about a year before Doug Henning hit the scene. I had already been doing shows, and before Doug, it was Mark Wilson's Magic Circus and Bill Bixby the Magician, and that was really, it kind of got me hooked. TV Magic Cards, which is the Marshall Brodeen Svengali deck, was a nightly commercial on all the stations, and magic was kind of, it was kind of cool back then. It was kind of booming. And then Doug Henning hit the scene in 75, and all of a sudden it was very cool. So
where did you grow up?
I grew up all over the country, and when I first got exposed to magic, I was living in Dallas, Texas, which was
that's magic land.
Exactly. It's where Mark Wilson started at demonstrating, and it was downtown, exactly where, Mark worked behind the counter, but he'd already gone to LA and had done his TV show, so he was long gone. But no, Dallas Magic Land is where I started, and my dad would take me down there if I was lucky once a month, probably once every 2 months, and I'd have like $10 to spend at the most, and it was I could get a couple tricks in the Genie magazine, and so it was enough to get me going. And
did you spend that $10 every time you went? Just spent it all
the time?
Yeah,
of course. Yeah.
Wes says that was what he did too. He took all his money, just put it on the counter and said, "What can I get for this?"
It's like a drug addiction. It really is. I remember shaking and just dumping money on the counter and counting out pennies, saying, "What can I get for this?" I remember that vividly, man.
Yep, it was fun days, and they had like some Top Shelf Magic, the Milson Worth stuff, and I'd look at that, and they were nice enough to show it to me. And in 7th grade, I'm 13 years old. I'm taking mechanical drawing and wood shop and metal shop and plastics. So I go, I can build all that. So in junior high, and everyone was building, I don't know what they were building.
Ashtrays,
But yeah,
ashtrays, and gun racks.
yeah.
That's what they built my home with.
High school was more the gun racks. Everyone was building gun racks in high school, and I was building zigzags and sub trunks. So
That's
Oh,
awesome.
nice.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, fun days. But
So were you doing magic in high school? Like, were you doing talent shows and things?
I did the senior talent show. I don't know if there was a talent show when I was a sophomore and junior. So I probably would have. They probably didn't have one. So, and the senior one I do. I remember that well. That was a lot of fun.
It went better than Amazing Jonathan's. Have you ever heard his story about his talent show?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yours
I'm
went better than that one, right?
Yeah, no, mine was very successful. It was a good one. And yeah, most of the kids in the, didn't even know in high school that I was doing magic. So it and back then not a lot of people wasn't didn't have the exposure it does now. Didn't have all the YouTube and Facebook and all that stuff. So no one really knew. And I was the only variety act in the whole show. It was all singing pretty much. And then it's like, thank God there's some variety in this show.
Wow. So where'd you go from high school?
High school into college, and that was in Topeka, Kansas, and not a lot of magic there, so I was kind of on my own. So it's kind of funny. There was I all my exposure was pretty much through Genie magazine back then. I There weren't any magicians to hang out with. When we were in college, we started like a magic club there, and we were only like, I don't know, 100 miles from Joe Stevens, Stevens Magic Emporium in Wichita, and Joe and Nick would come up. Nick St. Ern, he was a year older than me maybe, and they'd come up to our meetings, and it was cool having the exposure to Stevens Magic, because Joe put on some amazing conventions. He put on the World Magic Seminar for years, the Desert Magic Seminar. He did some conventions in Wichita, Kansas, which were kind of I went to a magic convention in Dallas in 74, 75, but I was such a kid and I wasn't registered. They were just letting me walk around and watch the lectures and stuff. But the first time I really was registered for a magic convention was in 78. And Joe Stevens put it on in Wichita. It was amazing. I got to sit down with Fred Capps for an hour, and Fred was showing me close-up magic, and Ali Bongo was there. And
Wow.
I think that was the first time I met Johnny Thompson, and that was a great convention. A lot of fun. The 79 convention was great. I mean, all the good guys were there. Di Vernon was always there. Slidini was there. Charlie Miller was there. In 1980, there was an amazing convention in Wichita with Joe Stevens put on that. The first show, I mean, not the first show, but the main show, the first half was Mr. Electric and Johnny Thompson, and David Copperfield was the second half. And,
Golly.
this is,
Golly.
yeah,
That's
this is
that's golden.
1980, I was a teenager and Copperfield was like 22 or 23. It was, no, it was awesome. It was awesome being around at that time. And even though I was in the Midwest, I guess, I wasn't, it wasn't like growing up in LA with the Magic Castle or like the Long Beach Mystics or anything like that. But, it was through Genie Magazine and Joe Stevens conventions, I got exposed to a lot of stuff. Got to be friends with, John Carney and Pat Hazel and those guys back in the early 80s. So
That's
it,
amazing.
it was
Your
fun.
your club in college, was that with IBM or SAM?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Your club in college, was that with the
Oh,
IBM SAM group, or did you guys
yeah.
just start your own thing?
It was with the SAM
Okay.
actually,
Okay.
and I didn't know much about it. There was an older magician. His name was Arturo that lived in Topeka, and he goes, "We should, do this with the SAM." And it was like, okay, whatever. I just wanted to, get together once a month and do shows, and give me a goal, every month. It was one of those. our meetings were fun because, I guess we did the business. I don't remember the business part of it very well because I didn't really care about the president, vice president, and all that crap. It was just like we just had a show every meeting, and the members to be in the group. You had to be in the show at some point. You didn't have to do it, but like I volunteered every single month. I'm in it. I'm in it. I'm in it. And so I had to come up with new material every single month to do that. So it motivated me to constantly expand, whether it be sleight of hand or stage parlor stuff or illusions, and
Now,
but it was a
you're
good stepping
saying
stone.
you're saying show was this college students got to come and watch you guys, or was this just you putting on a show for the Magic Club?
It was just the Magic Club show.
Okay.
But
I was just
but
curious.
yeah, but you know what? We had a pretty good group. So I mean,
Yeah.
and they could bring their families if they wanted to. I always remember there was always like, it wasn't big, but there was always 25, 30, 35 people in the audience. So,
That's great.
you had a
Yeah.
little, and it was organized, and it was like, okay, here's the 4 acts, and there was an MC, and so.
So what put you over the edge to make you want to do it for a living?
That came about I kind of went a different path. So I get out of college, and I go, okay, what am I going to do now? I have a degree in finance and economics. Okay, what am I going to do? And there was a nightclub opening in Kansas City that was hiring variety acts, magicians and singers and dancers and jugglers, and it's like, I'm going to go apply for that job. So I went and applied, and I got the job, right at the interview. And
wow.
they said, and a week later, they called me up. It was opening like in 3 weeks, maybe 3 or 4 weeks. The club was opening, but maybe 2 weeks later, they called me up and said, "Hey, Greg, the entertainment director, we're opening one in San Diego, and the entertainment director wants to work in San Diego. So, do you want to be the entertainment director here?"
Oh my
And
goodness.
I know. So I said, okay, I'm 23. Okay, that sounds like fun. So now I'm in charge of all the entertainers. I'm in charge of all the singers and dancers and jugglers and all that. And so I did. So I didn't get to do as much magic as I wanted, but it was a really cool nightclub, and it had a stage. And I was doing the zigzag, and I was doing the sub trunk, and I was doing an upside down straight jacket over the dance floor, and
Oh wow.
yeah. So yeah, this is like 1984. It's even the rigging wasn't too complicated. It was pretty much a pulley system with, okay, we need 5 guys to pull Greg upside down on the dance floor, and but that was fun. And then I would do sleight of hand. I would go from table to table, and it's a nightclub. It's completely different than restaurants. It's like you don't even ask permission. You just sit down with them and you just start doing stuff and
Yeah.
messing with them. So
Do
it
you
was
look
that.
back on that pulley system and think, I let 5 drunk people hold me upside down? How dangerous that really was?
You know what? It was, but there was always people from the club there that,
Okay.
the bar backs are the other managers or stuff, but they'd still get, 2 or 3 other guys. Come on. It was like built into the show, but it
Because when
didn't
you're a
matter.
kid, that's fun. But when you're older, you're like, I really let 5 drunk
Can't
people
believe I
hold me
did
upside down?
Oh,
That wasn't
I
smart at
know.
all.
I know. No, there was no way I was going to do that. So,
Okay.
but
I would have.
yeah. No. But so I'm doing that, and then like I don't know, 9 months later, they said, "Hey, Greg, we really like you. Why don't you be the assistant general manager of the club?" I mean, this is a $3 million club in 1984.
And this is in
Wow.
Kansas.
In Kansas City. Yeah, in
Wow.
Kansas City. And then they said, so I'm the assistant general manager. And then another club in Columbus, Ohio calls up Confetti because this concept was so popular that other people were trying to copy it, but they didn't know how to run it. So they were hired managers from this company. So they called up Kansas City, and they said, "Hey, we need to talk to the manager." And I go, "This is," and they said, "Hey, we're opening a club called Streamers, which is direct ripoff of Confetti." And they said, "Hey, we want to open Streamers in Columbus, Ohio. Do you want to run it?" And I go, "How much are you going to pay me?" And they said, "This much." And I go, "I'm on my way."
Oh
So
wow.
so now,
Nice.
yeah. now I'm 24 and running this huge nightclub in Columbus, Ohio. And then the company I worked for before that, Confetti, had one in Dallas they wanted me to run. So they said, hey, we'll pay you this much to come back. So I go, okay, I'll go back to Dallas and run that one. And then, so now I'm, what am I, 25, 26. And then when I'm 26, I go, you know what? I'll make a lot more money if I own my own club. So I raised enough money to open my own nightclub in Dallas. And yeah, only 26, and opened this club up, and it just like exploded. It was so popular for years. And it was a dance club, but it was also, we did live music, and ended up turning into pretty much a rock and roll club. But we still did all kinds of music. And Vanilla Ice, Robbie Van Winkle, he was a regular, and then he turned into Vanilla Ice and was started at my club. And Edie Brickell started at my club. And
wow.
Yeah, and then Pantera was my Monday night band because we were doing Metal Mondays.
Oh my gosh.
So Pantera was and then I started.
What town are you in now that you opened up your own?
This is in Dallas.
Went back to Dallas. Okay.
Yeah. So but then I'm hiring, Joan Jett and Lita Ford and the Romantics and Black Crows, and list just goes on and on. So that was a lot of fun. So
were you doing magic still?
No, I wasn't doing it. I wasn't
Okay.
doing it at all. I was from like 84 to 90. I really, I was still getting Genie magazine, and I was still going to the magic shop buying some books, and still, but I wasn't really focused on it at all.
Yeah.
I was focused on running these nightclubs and marketing. And marketing was the whole key to making these clubs work. And that was like the best education ever. So when I turned 30, it's like, you know what? If I don't do magic full time now, I'm never going to do it. And I knew some people. I knew some other magicians. I knew Dan Summers. Dan's a very good friend of mine. He's the inventor of the compressed illusion and Insta Babe and quite a few other illusions. And Dan was a good friend, and we actually built, like the first compressed. We were out in his shop working on that. The cutting in eights. I forget what he calls it. I just call it the cutting in eights. But we built the first. He moved out to Vegas when I was here, and we built the first one here, and it went into my Venetian show. And but anyway, I met these magicians, and at 30, I said, okay, I better do it. I better do it now, or I'm never going to do it. So I sold my half of the nightclub to my partner, and took the money and invested it in illusions. And within 2 years, I'm headlining at the MGM.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So
that's amazing.
It was like, how the heck did he do that? He owned it. He was just a nightclub owner, and now he's headlining at the MGM. It's like, how does that work? And it was all marketing. And then after that, that was a good run. That was a 4-year contract. And then after MGM, I was on the Tonight Show with Jay Leno during that run. And
how did that go? Because he was notorious for not liking magic. How was your appearance with Jay Leno?
You know what? It was fine. And I just saw Jay, like right before the pandemic. I was working at the Magic Castle, and my friend said, hey, let's go. They're really good friends with Jay. And they said, hey, we just got you invited to his car garage where, he's got a car museum that it's amazing. And it's like invitation only. And
are you a car guy?
Not really, but it's just, but my girlfriend is, and she loves him, and she goes, well, I want to go. So we went. And but no, it was the amazing thing about the Jay Leno story was, people try forever to get on the Tonight Show. They send in videotapes and have agents and try everything to get on that show. And I was doing my show at the MGM, and they were filming. Jay Leno was filming. Each year he he took over for Johnny Carson in 92. So in 93, 94, 95, he would come out to the MGM for a week and tape his show live from the MGM. And so I'm doing my show at the MGM, and my ex-wife was sitting there at the MGM cafe, and she just happens to be sitting at the table next to the producers of the segment producers of the Tonight Show, and she hears them over talking about the guests they have on, and she just leans over and says, "Hey, do you have any magicians on this week?"
Oh, wow.
And they go, "No," and she goes, "Well, me and my husband, we do a show. It's like walk out of this cafe and turn right and go down like 200 feet, and there's our theater." And they go, "Well, do you want to be on?" She goes, "You should have us on." And they go, "Well, what can you do?" And she said a few things, and she described the twister, and they go, "That sounds pretty good. Bring it in tomorrow, and if we like it, you're on." And she came home and said, "Hey, I think we're going to be on the Tonight Show." And I go, "Really?" And she goes, "Yeah, we have to take the twister in tomorrow morning, and we'll do it. And if they like it, we're on." I go, "Okay." So that's how I ended up on the Tonight Show.
Very cool.
And yeah, you just what's the worst thing could have happened? They could have said, "No, we don't want any magicians," but
Right.
that's not what happened. It was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
Do you have video footage of that?
I do. And the funniest part about it is they said, "Well, it only pays $750. Are you sure you want to do it?" And it's like, well, I'd pay you $750 if I could be on it, but
Right.
we're here anyway. We're doing our show right there. All we have to do is walk down to this theater. They had 3 main theaters when I was there in the 90s, and the theater where Copperfield is, that was called the Hollywood Theater. The EFX Theater is where Ka is, the Cirque show, and then they
Right.
had my theater. Then they had more theaters out in the theme park too, so there was a lot of shows going on. But it was like, yeah, I don't think we're really worried about the money. we'll just
Heck
yeah,
no.
we'll just come on down. So between just knowing marketing is how I got there so fast, and then just just asking, do you have anyone any magicians on? Just all you have to do is get out there and ask and try. And the worst thing they can ever say is no. And then
Right.
while I'm at the MGM, now I'm making some pretty good money. So it's like I'm gonna invest in more illusions. So I had a water levitation built and some other stuff, and now I got this really double signs, and I got a big show, so I videotape all that and send that to the cruise ships, and like instantly, they're going, "Hey, the headliner from the MGM has this big show," and the cruise ships, they started calling me right away. So that's how I got my foot in the door at the cruise ships.
Are you still doing cruise ships?
I was up until the pandemic,
Okay.
and they're slowly they're it's been pretty weird, and they still had some. It's finally kind of getting back to normal out there. For the longest time, some of the ships have been going out, and the rules for magicians are like, you can't have anyone on stage, you can't have any volunteers, you can't
Right.
do any of that. And it's like,
Still.
well, yeah,
Wow.
I think I'll just wait until it's kind of like a little bit more back to normal. And
So when I was hearing rumors that they were drawing back and close-up magicians, it's what they were going for because they didn't want to ship the illusions and all
right,
that stuff and animals and stuff. Is that
yep.
just the smaller ships because the bigger ships still had the cash to do it, or was it drying up, that market drying up before the pandemic?
Good question. Okay, before the pandemic, I mean, I was doing. Let's talk about the mid 2000s. Like, I'm going to say from 2000. I started on ships in 97, and I was doing all illusions. Not all illusions, but I was doing a big illusion show, and everything from water levitation to origami to double signs to upside down straight jacket to cutting in eights and compressed, and you know, a long list of stuff, and I would change it all the time. And then, but what's tough about the ships is when you have all those props and they only have you on for 2 or 3 months, then you got to pack them all up and you got to ship it, and it gets expensive. So I made a deal with one cruise line with NCL. It's like if they gave me this one ship out of New York City, that I would stay on for 3 months and then go home for a month and stay on for 3 months and go home for a month. And I would leave all my stuff. So they had a huge illusion show on there. And then for 3 months a year, they would just fly someone on with like a suitcase show that
Okay.
could fill in for me just for, you know, basically for 4 nights is all it was. So the rest of the time I was there. And I ended up doing that 7 years. And, you know, that's where I developed my helicopter production. You know, so I was producing a full-size helicopter on stage on a cruise ship. And I was doing a flying, like a Johnny Gone flying levitation and a table of death. So I was doing huge stuff up until 2013 when that contract ended. So I mean, that contract, I had that ship for 2005 to 2013. I could do anything I wanted on that stage. I only had it one night a cruise, one night a week, but it was so much fun having, you know, the same room. It's like your own little theater. You can do whatever you want. And
Absolutely.
I was rotating props in and out, and they had a budget. They didn't care. They didn't care about shipping back then. And then, yeah, I don't know what happened in the industry. Things kind of changed, and they go, okay, we don't want these illusion acts anymore. We want people we can just fly on for a week or two. And I said, well, that's fine with me. And you know, the pay was the same whether I was making a helicopter up here or doing my card show. So I had been developing my card show. They didn't hire me for my card show, but they had a movie theater, and I would tell the cruise director, I'd say, hey, the first day was always a sea day because we were sailing somewhere. And I said, I want to do my close-up show in there instead of showing movies. I want to do a close-up show at 1 and 3. And they go, okay, whatever. They could care less. Actually, they were just happy that, you know, they had more activities for the passengers. So you know, starting in 2000, I started doing shows in theaters with video projection. And so, you know, everything that's going, you see on America's Got Talent now, actually in 99 is when I first started doing those. And I had to bring my own projector and camera and everything. But I started doing, you know, 1 hour shows just with a camera and a projector, and, you know, just close up show with coins and cards and stuff.
Sounds like you were ahead of the game on that one.
Yeah, way ahead. And then so when I was on the Dawn for that 7 years, NCL Dawn, they had it was the nicest movie theater ever. So I was doing 2 shows the first night for the first day every cruise, and developing my close-up show and really evolving it. And so when they decided not to do the illusion show, I said, well, fine, I'll just do my close-up show. And instead of the movie theater held whatever 150 people, so I'll take it down into the 1,500 seat theater, the 1,200, 15, depending on the theater, depending on the ship. But it plays just as well in a 1,200 seat theater. In fact, it might even play better. Yeah, it's the same. It's, you know, close up's amazing. It doesn't, when you're doing that and you have projection, it can be huge or it can be small. It's, you know, Shin Lim's doing it right now here in Vegas. And a lot of people go, well, I don't want to go watch a show where I'm watching video. And it's
You're
not how
watching
it,
TV, right?
yeah, it's not how it is though. It's, you know, it's supplemented with the TV, but you're not watching it all the time. You're only watching it part of the time. And the way my show's developed, um, which no one has really duplicated yet, is all the focus is on me until I'm starting to do something, and then it goes to then it goes to the video screen.
Okay, yeah.
So so basically, as far as the close up goes, getting rid of the big props has made my life so much easier on the ship. I used to get you know, I used to watch those comedians come on, and their rehearsal was like 5 minutes. Okay, have this light, and let me test the mic. Okay. And now literally my rehearsal time is almost like that. It's most of the theaters on the ships, they have their own video projection, and so I don't have to worry about that. So I just tell the producer, the stage director, I just say, hey, I need a table set here, and I need a camera on a tripod right here, and plug it into the screen. And
Wow.
and so they have it all set up for me, and I go, okay, let's set the lights. And I have like 2 light cues. I have when I'm at the table and when I'm not at the table. So it's
So it
And
got a lot simpler, a
The
lot
pay the
easier.
same is what
and
rattles my brain. That's
yeah,
what.
it does. I don't know. I see. I've been doing it for so long. I just have a set fee, and
Right, right,
I
right.
get it. So I remember, like, you know, because I'm so established in that market, um, they don't ever question it because the ratings come back. And if your ratings are high, then it's like, oh, he's doing a good job. And every single one of my shows is a standing ovation every single time.
That's awesome.
And it's just a deck of cards, and it's still standing over. And it's not even like, okay, it's a jump to their feet standing ovation. That's what's so amazing about it. These people just watch me with a deck of cards for an hour, and I'll jump to their feet. And so the ratings are high. So the people booking me in the home offices, they go, well, look at his ratings. He's getting, 99 out of 100, or 100 out of 100, or 98 out of 100, or whatever. And, as long as you're over whatever, 85 or something, you're fine. And, some cruise ships I was at like 113%, 112%.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I don't even know how they did that rating. That was Oceania.
That's because you had the extra notepads and you were on your time on your 6 days off. You were filling them out.
Padding the numbers.
That's impossible, man. You can't have 113%. So,
I
how big is
know.
this warehouse?
How big's what?
How big is your warehouse? It's got to be huge.
Yeah, I have 50 illusions in the warehouse.
Wow. Very
And
cool.
from helicopters to, I don't know how many levitations I have there. I have the water and the Brett Daniels goddess levitation and the flying levitation. And I have like every sign over there. I have the double signs and the clearly impossible and the Wakeling sign and the Harbin bow saw. And it takes up, I have, okay, here's the deal with my warehouse, which is kind of cool. Uh, about, I'm going to say it's about, it was about the time I started. It must have been like 2012 when I quit doing the illusions on the ships all the time. And I started touring more. And I said, I need a warehouse that has a loading dock. And because it was so hard to get the props into a truck, because sometimes the trucks, either they have a ramp or they have a lift gate. And
Right.
some of the props were like too big for the lift gate even. It's like, I need a loading dock. And this company that was picking up my props said, we just got a warehouse, we have a loading dock, you should talk to the owner. And I said, okay. So I went over there, and they go, yeah, you can rent some space from us. We have Billy Idol stuff right here and the Killer stuff right here. And I go, okay.
Wow.
I go, that's kind of cool. But that was like 10 years ago, and it's grown and grown. So now the warehouse is 85,000 square feet, and which is humongous. And so I have my little space and the Killers, and Billy's still there. But now we have Lady Gaga and Janet Jackson and Cher and Shania Twain and Celine Dion and Elton John and Katy Perry and I
Do you
don't know.
ever run into any of them while you're there?
No, they have people.
They have people.
They have people.
They have people.
So explain to me how it is, though. I mean, do you have your own lock and key and it's your side, or is it just a warehouse? You just put stuff on the shelf?
It's just a warehouse. There is no shelf. It's just a huge, big room. And it's kind of like there's some people that work there, and they go, here's your space. And we have aisles between our stuff. It's like, you can't go across this aisle. It's like, that's Aerosmith stuff. You can't, don't
Well,
mix
that's
it.
that's what I was worried about. If Lady Gaga just goes in there, I want to see how water levitation looks. I want to open up that crate. Don't mess with my magic. Oh my gosh, that would freak me out. Yeah.
No, they could care less. It's
Yeah.
like,
Well.
you walk in there and you see Elton John's like costume cases, and you go, oh, that would be cool to see, or his red piano, or stuff like that. But no, it's really, really, the security is there. It's not like a warehouse that you can just go and start working on stuff. It's literally a warehouse that you pull up in a truck and you take your stuff out, or you bring your stuff in and leave it there. Literally, I've been there like 2 hours in the last 2 years.
Right. Wow.
But
Wow.
you just walk in and you're just stunned. 85,000 square feet of road cases. It's unbelievable.
Dude, I'm looking at these pictures of your China tour from 2013. And
Oh yeah,
I have so many questions. How many twister illusions do you have? This one looks metal. And then I saw another one with the doors open that I was thinking might be like mine. I have a pink one. But I don't know. How many twisters do you have?
I only have one. You might be looking at the disembodied, the silver one.
That's what it is. Okay, that's disembodied. Okay, I see it now. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yep, I was mistaken. You're right.
That's an Owens piece. That's beautiful. That thing's a piece of art.
Now, your twister, what color is the outside?
White.
White. Okay. And I need to talk to you because Natalie is 5'11", and I tell her 5'10", and I'm 5'5".
Okay.
So
Wow.
I don't understand how the math works because when I hug her, my ear is in her boob. So I say she's taller. So I always wanted to do a shrinker or something to bring my wife down to my size and play on that and make a joke about it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know if I want a shrinker, if I want to. What's the one that Copperfield does where he shrinks? What is that called?
The squeeze box.
Squeeze box. All right, shrinker, squeeze box. I'm always thinking about one of those. But which one is easier to travel with and set up?
I'll tell you all about that.
Maybe we want to talk about it off the air. Dude, daggone it, man. I have so much to talk to you about because I have you here. I know you have new props coming out, and we could talk about that all day long, just talking about the minutia. Unless you have a quick answer, because we're already 36 minutes into this thing, man. I'm loving it.
All I can tell you about that, the compressed, Dan Summers invented it. It was because he wanted to do squeeze box, and Andre Cole did not want to sell anybody the rights. He had sold David the rights, but he didn't want to sell anybody else the rights to the squeeze box. So Dan goes, well, there's probably a better way to do it, or a different way to do it. So Dan came up with his way, which was the upright cabinet, and it's a superior illusion. Backstage, it takes up 2 feet by 3 feet backstage instead of 6 feet by 8 feet.
Okay.
And it's visually so much stronger. So no, I highly recommend. That's the prop to go with.
Dude, I love it. I love it. What else? So I know I want to talk about your Doug Henning memorabilia, but I wrote a question down earlier when we were talking. Wait, I got another question. I got all this stuff going on, and we only got 20 more minutes, and I
can't choose a direction.
I got you. You have it looks like Lance Burton's cane trick here. Did you buy Lance Burton's trick? Is that Lance Burton's with the stars and the canes that Lance did on his show?
That's actually Doug Henning's. Okay.
I've only seen Lance do it. Yes. All right. So tell me, educate me, teach me.
Lance bought it from Doug Henning. Doug Henning had it because Jim Steinmeier put it together. So I bought the rights from Jim Steinmeier to do it, and I built it myself.
Okay.
So, the trick is actually in Tarbell, the cane cabinet. However, the backstage routine is what Steinmeier came up with, and that's what made it a good trick. So, the first time I ever saw it, Doug Henning did it, and then Lance got it from Doug.
Wow, you got so much stuff here. I'm only on the Chinese tour, man. I love all of this stuff. Golly. All right, so let's get into one more thing before I get into Doug Henning. What kind of music do you listen to today? Because you had all those different bands in your clubs and stuff, and it sounded like a huge variety.
You know what? I like the classic rock stations.
Classic rock. What about a club in Vegas? Or you don't want that headache? You just rather tour and do a magic club? We need a magic club in Vegas. You can drink and watch magic. all day long. There's enough magicians, you can keep those employed, and then you can do your big stage show.
Yeah, no, Vegas it's a whole different ball game out here. It's not worth it. Even Caesar's Magical Empire, they tried it and they brought me in to run that before I was there before it even opened. And I knew a disaster that was going to be. It was, we were calling it the Tragical Empire like 6 months before it even opened. And
Wow.
that was like a $56 million loss that at least they put $56 million into that, and then they ran it in the red for the first couple of years. And I was like, I'm not going to be responsible for this mess. so I got out of there, and I said, I don't want to be, in charge of the management of this. I go, I know it's not going to make any money. It's like I already ran clubs. I know what's going to happen. And I
Was
said,
it just overhead with talent? Was it just poorly run? What was there was
it was the whole concept of trying to serve lunch and dinner for 12 hours straight.
okay.
With running 24 people through every 5 minutes. It just wasn't going to happen, and it didn't. They had to eventually, they opened it normally at they were going to do 11 to 11, and it finally went to like 5 to 10 or something. They had to drop over half of what they expected to make. And I tried to tell them at the beginning, but they didn't want to listen to a 32-year-old telling them what was going to happen.
When you were running clubs,
Yeah,
right out of college. So we only have 19 minutes left, man. I mean, this time has flown by. I'm loving
it
this
has.
so much. We'll definitely get you back. Um, let's talk about your new product line that you have coming out. You have a big boom product launch coming. Tell me all about it.
I Yeah, I wish I could, but I put out Quantum Coins in 2020, and it was an idea I had. It was a matrix routine that it looked it looked so magical, and it took no skill almost. It was absolutely beautiful, and it wasn't using black art or anything like that. And it was a huge hit. And I said, I think I should start getting into some of this, designing some of my, putting out some of my ideas. And in the last, I'm going to say 6 months, I've got prototypes of a lot of them, but because they're not out yet, I don't really want to talk about them until they're released. But all I can say is it's cool stuff, and there's nothing like it right now. And I think I think they're going to be huge hits, huge hits. I mean, I've been in Magic so long, and if I saw something like this come out, I would like snatch it up in a second. One of them is going right into my close-up show. Not only is it going into my close-up show, it's going to be the finale of my close-up show. And the finale of my close-up show right now already gets a standing ovation every single time. And this one's going to be 5 times better than that one.
Wow. Wow.
So
So is it coin stuff? Is it card stuff? Can you say that?
I can tell you it's cards, but it's not even a card trick. Nobody picks a card. Nobody has to remember a card. It's
Okay. I don't want to mess you up. So
yeah.
here's the thing. I have that Facebook group, Wes Iseli's Magiclife Facebook podcast group.
Yeah.
So I'll put this episode there, and when they come out, I'll put links to those items. Just let me know. I also run a magicians Facebook group. It's just titled Magicians. I have 17,700 members as of this morning. I will put your products there, and they go to you to buy them. I don't want a penny out of it. I don't want anything. I just want to share the love with my friends.
Awesome.
So
Thanks,
when
Wes.
you get those out, let me know, and I'll put those links to those commercials out. And I'm just running a commercial for my friend. So how about that?
I appreciate that so much, because yep, I'm going to be doing the same thing on my Facebook groups and everything too. But with your 17,000, that's awesome. And
Yeah, man. Yeah.
and
So we have 15 minutes left. Tell Natalie about your love of Doug Henning. That's really what we were talking about in Vegas, because I was like, it was before my time. I was a Copperfield guy growing up.
Yep.
Obviously, I love Penn and Teller, Copperfield, but it's totally two different styles. And somebody said, "Well, pick them. Which one do you like the best? If you're only to watch one the rest of your life?" It's like it's two totally different things. It's apples and oranges.
It is two totally different things, and it's the way they produce their specials was completely opposite of what of each other too. Doug was fearless. Doug was doing live 1 hour live TV specials.
Yeah, Copperfield did not do that.
No.
He had like 28 tapings under his belt before he. Yeah.
Exactly. Plus, he toured all of his material for months and months and months before he even did it, which David is a perfectionist, and you work out all the bugs. Doug hadn't worked out all the bugs, but Doug's specials were still at the time just they were groundbreaking. There was no magic specials. People hadn't seen, the sword suspension had been around a long time, but no one had seen it. No one had seen anyone. The first special he did, the torn and restored, Gene Anderson's torn and restored newspaper, and nobody had ever seen that. He did the Decolleté chair, which let's say that was invented in, I'm not sure, I'm going to say 1880s 1890s.
Yeah.
And no one had seen that illusion probably, I don't know, let's say 75, 80 years. No one had seen that illusion. And when they shot that, it was, it was magical seeing that on TV with no trick photography or anything. And, 50 million people watch that. And that chair is sitting in my dining room right now.
Oh wow!
Is that the
cool.
Egyptian chair?
It's the Egyptian chair.
Okay.
When he did it on his first special, Owens built it, and it didn't have the Egyptian motif or decor on it. It was just a black chair. So if you ever get a chance to watch that first Doug Henning special, but and then when he started doing his statue of the pharaohs on tour, he had to vanish somehow and then reappear in the statue, and he used the Decolleté chair for that. So
Wow.
that's when they put the motif on it. But yeah, that's sitting right in my dining room. The whole statue of the pharaohs, this giant table, and the Decolleté chair sitting right next to it, and his bump box, which is from his first special too, is sitting right there next to it in my dining room.
Well, I told Natalie how that worked off the air before while we were waiting on you, because I was like, it's in the middle of the stage, and I'm telling you, Natalie, it's only this big. What is it, 2 feet by 2 feet? And I said, he's like 12 girls come out of this box, and she's like, well, how is it? What? And I'm like, this is how it's done, honey. Wow. How did he do it? He used it for Bump in the Night. Is that what it was?
Yeah, the Bump in the Night. It was. That goes back to, who does that go back to? Savoy Leroy.
Okay.
It was called the Three Graces. It was basically the modern cabinet, and they would do the switch, and then Doug always liked the method of the bump box. Yeah, we don't really want to talk about the method, but he knew about it. And he wanted to put it in Spellbound, and they didn't know how to put it in Spellbound. They wanted to put it in the Magic Show, and they didn't know how to do it there. So when he got his first TV special, it's like, I want to do this. So he and Charlie Reynolds sat down and said, okay, I want to do the Three Graces trick. Well, they didn't even know what they were going to do, but they said, hey, let's make the $1 Million Mystery is what it was called.
Yeah.
And $1 Million Mystery, and so we need to come up with a routine. And then they said, let's add the Three Graces to it. And then at the end, it's like, well, we can do anything with this method. Let's have a tiger appear at the end. And so Charlie Reynolds put all that together for him. I had lunch with Charlie Reynolds a couple years before he died, and he goes, that was that was like one of his favorite things he ever invented for Doug. He invented a lot of things for Doug, and that was one of the things he invented for Doug. So it's interesting, Doug did that on his first special, and then Copperfield ended up doing it on one of his specials. He called it the Big Black Box, and
he had a red wall, didn't he? Didn't Copperfield have a red wall behind him for that?
Red and black, I think so.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and it's amazing that the stuff Doug did on his early specials. He's the, he did the water levitation first. He did the motorcycle vanish first. He did the elevator first. He did the walking through the mirror first. He did the things that go bump in the night. David ended up doing all of them on his specials.
What about origami?
Origami, Doug had the first one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
here we go. I just brought up the picture on your Facebook.
Oh,
that's
okay.
the bump box, and that's the Dakota chair
Oh,
with the Egyptian theme.
Cool.
So you take the headpiece off, and Doug's sitting there.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's neat.
I actually did that on Masters of Illusion too.
Wow.
So Doug did it on TV and I did it on TV. So that's kind of cool. So
that is cool.
I got to meet him a couple times, and he, just a little guy, and he loved magic, and he believed in it. And no, he really kind of ignited my interest in it. Even though I was interested in it, it pushed me farther.
Yeah.
And,
so you have the mummy motif going on too. Is that that's not magic? It's just sarcophaguses in your house.
Yeah, you know what? There was an auction. Luxor had a big auction, and
cool.
My girlfriend loved those, and she goes, "Let's put these in our house." And I go, "Oh, okay."
That's awesome, dude.
I go, "That's pretty cool." My ex-wife was like, "You can't have any magic outside your office," and now our whole house is like a museum. Like the kitchens, the Houdini kitchen's got a water torture cell in there, and a milk can in there, and a big straight jacket in a shadow box. It's a duplicate of from the Houdini movie, Tony Curtis movie, and framed handcuffs and locks and everything. So the Houdini kitchen and the Doug Henning dining room, and it's just it's a museum.
So
That's
for
neat.
those listeners all over the world, if you're dating a magician, don't try to pigeonhole him, put him in a corner, because you'll become an ex-wife.
I know.
You have an elevator illusion as well?
I did have an elevator illusion, and someone really wanted it, and I wasn't using it, and so I very seldom sell any of my illusions.
Wow.
But
I love it so much.
But yeah, I ended up selling that one, and I haven't needed it for 2 years. So because of this pandemic. I mean, all my cases have been sitting there for 2 years, and the bookings are starting to come in now pretty good, but my focus is more on sleight of hand and what I've been doing for the last 20 years. And most of my product line is based on close up or parlor, but I am putting out a couple illusions too.
Dude, I can't wait. Is Ray helping you with the illusions?
That's why I came over today to look at one. Yes.
Awesome. Dude, I got pictures of you here on Facebook. I'm just going through your photo album. You and Siegfried.
Yep.
And you with all the boys. You got Kevin James and who else? Mark Kalin and is it Antonio? What is his name? The little guy.
Antonio. Yeah, they came up and saw me out. That was last summer. For 6 months, I had a show in Kansas City. Las Vegas was still kind of shut down in the mask mandate and everything. So Kansas was like open. And I go, well, I think I'll go to Kansas and do a show for 6 months. So my family's still up there, and I hadn't seen him. I mean, I'd see him like, a couple days a year for the last 30 years. And it's like, I'm going to go up and do a show in Kansas City. And we just did a Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. And I'd be up there during the week, or I'd be in Vegas during the week. But Friday and Saturday and Sunday, I'd be up there doing shows. And, my mom, she's 88, 89. She was at every single show. She loved it. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, nice.
And but it was so much fun getting to do my close-up show, because that year before I was just kind of developing new material, and it was like, okay, now I get to do all this material every night. So it was a lot of fun.
I think I know about this. This is the one that was at the store. You had a storefront almost.
Yeah. Yes.
I do know. I see more of your stuff on Facebook than I think I do. Dude, this has been amazing. Thank you so much. We only have a couple minutes left. What else you want to leave us with?
I think I just want to thank you for, spending an hour with me on this Sunday afternoon and let me tell my story. And if anyone ever has any questions, I'm on Facebook. If they want to, message me and ask me something, they're more than I check it all the time.
It's Greg Gleason. It's Greg.
Yep.
Gleason, Gleason on Facebook. How about a website?
GleasonMagic.com.
And are you playing on TikTok at all?
I don't have time for all that. It's just
Instagram, Twitter, any of those?
No, it's too time consuming.
It really is.
I just can't focus on that. I'm focusing on other things and all these new products that are coming out. So hopefully I'll talk to you and we'll get those on those other social platforms.
Oh, 100%. As soon as they come out, you let me know, and I'll send you tag you in those things too, so you can find them, because I want you to join those groups so you can see all of that too. So
okay,
I'll find some of your appearances on Masters of Illusion, because you've only been doing it like 6 years straight. So I know there's lots of appearances. That is at least 12 appearances on there, then, right?
It's
or
like
15.
40. It's like 40.
40. Good gosh.
I've been doing it for 8 years, and there was, I did it in 99. They had one season in 1999, and we did it then, and then they started back up in 2015. So I've done it every year since then, and I always do 4, 5, 6 spots. So,
wow, you got to put a good word in for me with Gay.
I can do that easily.
I would love it. I would love it. We'll be there.
Awesome.
All right, dude. Well, hey, thank you so much. Stay on the line real quick. I'm gonna do a plug and we'll wrap everything up. Guys, we don't have a lot coming up public show wise, but we do have July 19th. We'll be at Firehouse Theater in Richmond, Virginia. Mm-hmm. And on July 24th, we'll be at Arlington Draft House in Arlington, Virginia. Mm-hmm. Check out wesisley.com for that. Guys, that was an awesome podcast with Greg. It's one of those that flew by so quick. We got to do another one, buddy. We got to do it again. Season 3 is coming up in like 5 weeks. We'll get you booked in season 3.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Great.
You're the best, Greg. Thank you so much, man. Hey, one more thing. 1, 2. See you next week.
Okay.
Check us out online at wesisley.com and patreon.com/Wes_Isley for behind-the-scenes videos, blooper videos, never-before-seen footage, discounts on merchandise, magic trick tutorials, and more. That's Wes Iseli, spelled Wesiseli.